it might be a rainy, gloomy Saturday here in Baton Rouge, but the boys got to win. Shout out LSU basketball for that blowout over Arkansas, 95-74. Welcome to Valley Vision. I'm Abby Alonzo, Joe Mitchell. We're back. We're not normally here on Saturdays, but we decided we're going to recap today's game because we felt it, right? We called LSU's going to go 3-0 this weekend. Jim won last night. The boys got a dub today. Now we just need the women's to come through tomorrow. They play Florida at 11, and we'll be back after that game too. But first things first, I got to shout out St. Rock and 7-3 Distilling in NOLA for not only sponsoring us, but for giving us this idea of a shot of the game. And this one goes out to Will Baker for his 25 points. Normally we do one shot of the game, point out a specific moment, but he was all over the place. Wait till I read his stats.
Still doing just one shot.
Yes. One shot, that's it. But to Will Baker in the win, cheers. Whew. And if you want really smooth, good vodka, this is the way to go. Y'all know the deal. They're partnered with Bayou Traditions, the official collective of LSU NIL. Proceeds of the bottle go back to those athletes. Support guys like Will Baker. Keep the recruiting top notch. Let's bring back some national championships, to Baton Rouge. This is a great way to support. Let's get into this game. Like I said, 95-74, breaking that 3-game losing streak. They are now 12-9 on the season and 4-4 in SEC play. Today's score was the highest score they've had against an SEC opponent all season. We talked earlier yesterday about this game and about what needed to happen. They seemed to figure some things out. The offense came out really freaking hot. The first half, they were on a roll. They hit 8 of their first 9 shots from the field and 5 of their first 6 threes. So immediately got right into it. Again, Will Baker, the whole reason we took a shot in honor of him today is because of how well he played on offense. He was hot, and that was a huge part of the Tigers' win. Sorry, this mic is really low. Am I hitting it today? Okay, we're good. In the first half alone, he had 17 points on 7 of 8 shooting, including 3 of 4 from the three-point range. LSU had a 21-point lead at one point in the first half. Everybody was getting a little bit of a piece of the pie today. There were killer shots. There was one specific, I want to say Trey Hannibal had it going down the court, got a rebound, passed it off to Joe Wright. Joe shot it right back at him, and he dunked it. It was electric. If you don't already follow Valley Vision on social media, our graphics guy, Mikey, did an incredible job of grabbing the highlights. So if you want to see what we're talking about, check out our Instagram. There are all kinds of highlights on there. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least one made ESPN. I would not be surprised. There were some killer shots. In the second half, LSU had a 28-point lead at one point. Like we said, Will Baker finished with 25 points. He hit 9 of his 11 shots from the field. Jalen Cook scored 20. He had 15 of his points in the second half, went 4 for 6 shooting and 2 for 3 on threes. Jordan Wright had 13 points. Again, dunks from Hunter Dean, who is slept on. I will say Hunter Dean is slept on. And Trey Hannibal had that dunk as well as a monster block. Really firing on all cylinders. Now, we talked yesterday. Was it yesterday? Was yesterday Friday?
Yes,
okay.
Yesterday was Friday.
We talked yesterday about turnovers and rebounds. LSU had 11 turnovers but forced 12 on Arkansas, who we talked about maybe the key to this one would be if Arkansas could force enough turnovers on LSU to kind of get them out of control. They forced the turnovers. LSU didn't lose control. Rebounds. LSU had 31 total. Only 5 of those came offensively to Arkansas's 30. So pretty even there. You were on the court. Tell me, what'd you pick up? What'd you hear, see, feel?
Yeah, well, I will say the stat you mentioned about 31 rebounds, only 5 of those coming offensively. Not mad about that. Having 26 rebounds defensively, like I said, one of the big keys to this was limiting second chance points. That's how you do it. You go get 26 rebounds on defense. That's awesome. Love that. Also, I think a guy that didn't necessarily light up the stat sheet in terms of points, but had a huge day Jalen Reed.
Yeah.
Great on defense. He was really protecting the rim at all costs. He had 2 big blocks early, and being down there on the court and hearing the players go back and forth, like, they were not happy with the defense Jalen Reed was playing. He was dominating in there and pissing guys off.
What'd you hear? I know you said things were getting kind of chippy and people were having to be broken up.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you see?
Almost any time Arkansas was shooting a free throw, the refs were having to, like, get in there and be like, everybody chill out. Everybody chill out. It's not going
I love that, though. You need some of that.
Nothing too crazy. I think there was one time on the other side of the court where Jordan Wright was shooting a free throw, and I want to say number 6 for Arkansas was just mouthing off the whole time, and they finally got in there. And then, look, eventually Arkansas got teed up in the second half. So the point is the effect that Jalen Reed had on the game went far beyond the stat sheet, in my opinion.
Yep, that happens often. We read the stats, but a lot of these guys kind of fly under the radar when they're not on the stat sheet, hence Jalen Reed today being a big part of the defense, not necessarily racking up all kinds of points, but being a big part of the defense. As far as turnovers go, the numbers aren't terrible. I think, what did we say? They averaged 13 or around 14 per game, so 11, right around there. What do you think the big takeaway from this one was? Why was LSU able to blow out Arkansas?
Well, outside shooting, the perimeter scoring. They shot, Will Baker alone shot 80%, had 25 points. Him coming out the gate and hitting those 2 or 3 threes, right, like early in the game, that made Arkansas's defense step out. They could no longer just sit in the paint and stop him from on the inside, and it really spread out their defense, and we took advantage of that.
I will say, speaking of Will Baker, player of the game, right? There were a couple times where he played incredible defense in the paint, and it was, the ball had to be passed back out. Like they looked pretty solid today. It's a very different, I don't want to say a different team, but much better, cleaner basketball, more mature basketball today. Again, 4-4 in SEC. You've got a tough matchup on the road Wednesday against Tennessee, who is ranked 5th nationally. This is good momentum moving forward. But we've seen where momentum can kind of come crashing down, especially when you still haven't figured out all the kinks. You got the win. The offense looked great. Rebounding and turnovers still need to be reeled in. Going into Wednesday's game against Tennessee, how are you taking today's win and kind of using it to move forward and prepare for that?
Yeah, I want to say it was 12 turnovers that we forced. I want to say 2 or 3 of them were shot clock violations, which is awesome.
I think you're right.
That speaks to the level of defense that you're playing. You want to get shot clock violations, or you want to get steals in transition that lead to quick points. Look, Tennessee is a different team than Arkansas. They're going to be really hard to beat. But if you're going to do it, you got to be able to shoot like you did today from the 3. That way you can get into the paint and all that kind of stuff. And then, look, if you're gonna have 12 turnovers, a couple of them need to be shot clock violations. That's the kind of defense that you need to be playing against a team like Tennessee.
Okay, so without Will Baker going off today, how do you think that would affect the game? The reason I ask is because obviously Tennessee's going to watch film, and they're going to see what Baker was able to do today, racking 25 points. They're going to have him covered on Wednesday. So knowing that going into Wednesday's matchup, how are you kind of preparing for the defense that's going to be on Will? How are you adjusting the offense?
Well, look, I don't think you can sleep on Will Baker by any means, but I also don't think he's the main guy they're keying on. I think he had a great game today, but I don't think Tennessee is going to be looking at it saying, gotta guard Will on the 3-point line. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's going to be their game plan. But I think even if he wasn't doing that, you still had, Mike Williams had 13, Jordan Wright had 13. You got valuable minutes out of Reed and Hannibal. Hannibal is a great facilitator on offense.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what you need to see. What we saw on offense today was really, really promising. It's just got to carry over.
What are you doing about the rebounding? I know you said you aren't mad about 5 offensive rebounds, but
you want more than 5 offensive rebounds. The reason I'm not mad about it is because that meant you had 26 defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
That's huge, especially against a team like Tennessee, who is top 5 in the country. If you can limit their second chance or extra possessions, second chance points, it's going to go a long way.
I just blanked, completely lost my train of thought.
Oh, good.
Wow, that is crazy. I'm going to blame the weather on that one. Jalen Cook, we didn't see him early in the season, right? The whole transfer NCAA rule thing, and we're not even going to dive into that because Joe can go on and on about why the NCAA is a shit show.
Terrible.
But he wasn't here for the beginning of the season. He's come in. He's made a little bit of a difference. What did you see from him today that kind of goes with that storyline and talks or kind of helps his case for how he is able to kind of help the offense?
Yeah, look, he's a threat. He's a threat on the perimeter. He's a really good passer. What I noticed today is, for the most part, Trey Hannibal ran point. He was bringing the ball up the court. They moved Jalen Cook over and let him kind of stay on the wing. And what that does is it takes away an extra defender that would be in passing lanes. Now they have to play close defense on Jalen Cook, and you essentially have two dimes out there that can facilitate your offense for you. And Trey Hannibal showed you how quick he is getting to stacking defenders, getting blow-bys, getting quick, digs off to, post players. And he did that a lot today. He even, a guy running the point, he finished an oop today. Like, I love that. I love that move of having Hannibal run the point and facilitating the offense.
I think they used whatever adjustments they made today showed. Using Hannibal the way they did today. Again, if you go to our Instagram page, you'll see him on there with not just one, but a few highlights because he had big moments and because he was able to pass the ball off and kind of just run the offense in a way that allowed guys to just get hot.
And one of the two things there, I said Hannibal ran point for the majority of the day. He brought the ball up the court for the majority of the day.
Yes.
But when you have guys like Jalen Cook and Trey Hannibal who are both capable of running that position, what it does is Hannibal starts the play off. You get a breakdown. You got to get into another play. All of a sudden, Jalen Cook rolls to the top.
Yep.
Hannibal's in the corner. And that's what we saw a lot of. So you saw two different looks offensively, and that's really confusing to a defense, especially when your freaking center's hitting threes. You know what I mean?
Freaking Will Baker. So again, you build some momentum, you play at home, you get a good win, SEC win, you even out the record, everybody's hot. What's happening on Wednesday? Is this upset Tennessee, or is this it worked against Arkansas, it's not good enough to work against Tennessee?
Look, I think realistically speaking, nobody is expecting LSU to go in there and upset Tennessee. I think if you play like you did today, got to get better on the offensive glass. Can't have self-inflicted turnovers. Mike Williams had 2 turnovers really, really early, and it looked like the floor might have been slippery because it was in the same spot where he slipped and lost the ball. Can't have that. You can't have that stuff. So that's the areas that you got to get better. You need offensive rebounds. You can't have self-inflicted turnovers. And you got to be as aggressive defensively as you were today. If that's the case, I think you can hang around, and then you're in a what game with a chance to win at the end. If that's the case, then who knows what happens, but I think that's your best bet.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'll take the win today. I'm not sure we see another one on Wednesday. I hope I'm wrong. But we will preview that game it's Saturday, Abby, it's Saturday. Monday on our live show at 5 on Monday. We'll preview that matchup against, number 5, Tennessee. Big, huge challenge ahead, and on the road. Not that the home court advantage for men's basketball is crazy like it is for women's, who are selling out arenas across the country. But it does make a difference. So playing a team like that on the road is going to be a tough challenge for them. We'll see what happens. But we will preview that on Monday a little bit more in depth, live at 5. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're building up all kinds of content and future plans. Baseball season is going to be really fun, and we want y'all to stick around. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah, before we get out of here, can we just really quickly give some flowers to the gymnastics team for what they did last night?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know what? This is a basketball recap, but we'll throw gym in there too because I believe they broke the record, the LSU record, for meet total.
Yeah, 198.465.
198.465.
And that's the highest score of any team in the nation this year.
It was electric once again. You had a Haley Bryant 10 on floor. That was her first floor 10? I believe it's her first 10 on floor in her career, which I think I remember that because I was surprised. But all the way around, beam, you mentioned it. Floor, of course, we expected it to be great. They already had, that is their greatest event, right? The strongest part. But going into floor, they were up by like 2 point something. They had already made such a difference going into the last event. And you mentioned it last night. Beam looked so much better, and it was a strong part of why they were so far ahead. Do you remember what the total was for Beam?
I don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was like 49-6 or something like that. It was 9-9s across the board, so maybe 49-5 or somewhere in there. But going into floor, Beam was the best event of the night.
That is called progress. That is what Jake Clark has talked about all season, and just getting better every week. They came back from a loss and bounced back, got back to where they were, and even further up. I mean, they come back off of a loss and break LSU records. You've got 10s flying in their worst, so to speak, event is the second best of the night. So props to those girls. Again, full PMAC. The support that the LSU community brings to all athletics is truly incredible. I remember sitting up there and I think right before they do floor, they do this lights off flashes, and it's kind of like a fourth quarter thing. And I was just kind of taking it in wow. And I looked at Anthony, I'm like, are we biased? Is it like this everywhere? And he was like, no, because he's played everywhere. And we've seen, it's not like that everywhere. So definitely something special. But shout out to Haley Bryant, to all the gymnasts and LSU Gymnastics, Jake Clark. Another big win, putting them in a very good position at this part of the season. And it's really promising to see Beam pop up the way that it did. I think they are away on Friday, I want to say. Let me do a quick check. They are, what's today, the 3rd? Friday, they are at Georgia. Ooh, softball starts up on Friday. We're going to have some fun with that one. But shout out gymnastics, shout out men's basketball again for that big win over Arkansas. Arkansas took 2 L's this weekend in Baton Rouge. Sucks to suck. Yeah. Looking for women's basketball to get a dub and make it 3-0 for LSU this weekend. We will be back tomorrow an hour after the final buzzer. That tip is at 1 p.m. against Florida. It'll be a challenge for them. They're coming off of 2 losses. And Florida has a pretty good offense. We'll see what Kim Mulkey's cooked up this week and how the defense has adjusted from last Monday against Mississippi State. But we appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all soon.